my friends, welcome to FHP Books. I am Felix and today I will talk about Italo-Western cinema, about spaghetti western. That is of course the Italian version of US American classic westerns that became famous thanks to directors like John Ford or actors like John Wayne. In Italy, there were always some trends going on, some filmic trends, some adaptations of Hollywood blockbusters, and in the 50s there was in Italy this peplum trend, the trend of sword and sandal movies, because they inspired themselves in the American blockbuster Hollywood movies like, for instance, Quo Vadis and Ben-Hur and the Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor and so on. So in Italy developed the peplum genre, the sword and sandals, that was mainly about the Roman times and also about the Greek mythology, about ancient history, about ancient times, the Greco-Roman past, like with figures, with characters like Hercules and so on. We have the peplum. One of the great peplum stars is, for instance, Steve Reeves, one of the first bodybuilders. Steve Reeves that incarnated Hercules and so on. This was peplum in the late 50s and early 60s also. And after this trend came the Western trend in Italy, in all of Europe. And one of the first directors who initiated this trend was Sergio Leone. Sergio Leone had done also some peplum before. He came from directing some peplum movies, and after these peplums he also decided to try some Western movie, and he directed For a Fistful of Dollars. For a Fistful of Dollars became a huge success, also thanks to Clint Eastwood, that was not very well known at the time yet. Thanks to For a Fistful of Dollars and thanks to Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood became very famous afterwards, and this was a huge success. For a Fistful of Dollars was a huge success, and it tells us the story of a lonesome guy, a foreigner, a mysterious man with no name. The man with no name, he's known as, and he's a mysterious character that arrives to a town in the desert, a town that is taken hostage by two hostile gangs of bandits. Two different gangs of bandits that are fighting each other, that are killing each other, and that at the same time they are terrorizing the normal people, the innocent people of the town. So when the foreigner arrives there, at the first he also wants to profit from the situation. He wants to profit from the situation, and sometimes he works with one of the gangs, then he works with the other gang, and he tries to play one against the other. He tries to play one of the gangs against the other and to take some profit in the process. And at the same time, because he is a good man, he has a kind heart, he does not want the innocent people to be harmed, and he tries to protect the innocent people of the town and at the same time have some profit for himself. That's his objective. So that's the story of the movie, that's the story of For a Fistful of Dollars, and the movie was very successful. The movie was really successful, so Sergio Leone decided to do more Western. He stopped with this peplum trend, the peplum trend disappeared, and then the Western trend started in Italy. The Western trend started in Italy, and not only in Italy, in all of Europe actually, but particularly in Italy. And these movies were shot in Spain. They were shot in Spain because in the province of Almeria, in South Spain, there is a kind of desert that fits very good as a location for Western movies. And a lot of Westerns, not only by Sergio Leone, also by other directors, were shot in Almería, in Spain, at the time, in the 60s. So after A Fistful of Dollars, there came another great movie named For a Fistful of Dollars More. It's a sequel. It's also Clint Eastwood, the protagonist. And we have also another great actor, Gian Maria Volonté, who plays the bad guy, who plays the bandit, El Indio, in this second movie, in this second Western by Sergio Leone. And then a third movie came. The third movie is called The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. The success of these movies was huge, so other directors after Sergio Leone, other directors tried to emulate this success. One of them were very successful themselves, while others were not so successful. So a lot of Westerns were produced in Italy and Spain at the time, in the 60s. In the middle 60s, middle to the end 60s, were produced a lot of Westerns, inspired first by the American Westerns and then by the success of the Sergio Leone trilogy. And Sergio Leone himself, he had some little problems with another great director, with Japanese Akira Kurosawa, because the story of his For a Fistful of Dollars is very similar to the story of Yojimbo, the film, one of the masterpieces by Akira Kurosawa, that also tells us the story of a lone guy, of a mysterious guy who arrives at a town and then he plays one gang against the other. In the case of Japanese, in this Japanese movie, it's about Ronin, a solitary samurai that arrives to a town, Japanese town, in this Tokugawa period, and he encounters a town that is being taken hostage by two gangs of Yakuza bandits, and then he plays one gang against the other, and so on. And that's actually the same story taken into the Western context by Sergio Leone, but it's an archetype. In my opinion, it's exaggerated to say that he plagiarized this story, because this story is an archetype. So this is a recurrent story. It's something that comes back all the time and that is present in books, in fiction, in movies, and in some other in a lot of different stories. So it's exaggerated, in my opinion, to call this plagiarizing. Anyway, this is the story. This is what I wanted to talk today about. There is much more to talk about. I will talk more about Westerns in a next time, because there is a huge topic. It's a huge genre. A lot of movies were made, but Sergio Leone, with the great musical score of Ennio Morricone, he was not a very prolific filmmaker. He did not a lot of movies, but all the movies he made were absolutely masterpieces. So if you want to know more about Italo-Western, about the Sergio Leone films, and about other Italian directors that made Westerns in these times, in these years, in the 60s, if you want to know more about that, if you are interested in the Western cinema, if you want to read a little bit more about a comparison between Western movies and Chambara movies, about Western and Japanese samurai movies that they have very similar characters, very similar stories. As I said before, it's like an archetype. This archetype can be taken from the samurai context into the Western context, and it will fit perfectly. If you want to know more about all these things, take a look at my book about Italo-Western that you can find on Amazon. There you will find a lot of reviews that I wrote over the years, a lot of filmic analysis, a lot of reviews, a lot of commentaries, a lot of film critics about this fascinating Italo-Western genre. So thank you very much for your attention, and see you in the next time.